the white men have taught us everything we know. But I made people see also that one important thing they taught us was politics. Because I wove in the song to the elections in Nigeria, because it was a farce. Now, I mentioned democracy. Now, in English, an Englishman will say democracy. But if the African man wants to say it in broken, he will say democracy. You see now. And I thought of the word. I said democracy. That's now I saw craziness. I said I could now see let my people see that democracy really is not that word, that is really madness, you know. So I said, now I started to sing. I said, I start to think of this word democracy. Democracy. Crazy demo. Demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration. Then I went a little bit serious, because I know that people will laugh at that when they hear that. Then I went a little bit serious. I said, if it's not crazy, why that in Africa, as time goes forward, things is getting worse. Poor man, they cry. Rich man, they mess. Democracy. Crazy demo. Demonstration of grace.
Crazy demo. Demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration.
The value of a vote. Nigeria's journey to sustainable democracy aims to look at how Nigeria's electoral, voting, and leadership systems has affected the country. I shall be focusing on several chapters in this essay, hoping to link them all together to get a clearer understanding of the state of Nigeria from pre-colonial times to a modern-day Nigeria.
Crazy demo, demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration.
In Nigeria, the three major tribal regions, namely the Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba, each had their own traditional voting and leadership electoral systems. The Hausas had emirs as rulers, the Igbo lands had clans, while the Yorubas had the Obas. All similar in nature, whereby a group of chiefs elected either an emir, an Oba, or an Igwe. These systems were being used to govern each region before the naming of a newly birthed Nigeria by Dame Flora Lugard. I quote Leah Palagashvili. In African societies, political organizations began at the lineage or village level. Each lineage chose a head for their group, and when different lineages came together to form a village or tribe, they chose a chief to be the leader of the tribe. Each head of the different lineages in this tribe will then serve on the council of elders for the chief. The chief was seen as both the religious leader of the tribe and living representative of the ancestral spirits, and the governance leader who is responsible for maintaining order and acting as the decisive authority in matters affecting the welfare of the tribe.
Crazy demo, demonstration of grace.
These people, primitive as they are, have a strong tribal organization and a considerable measure of self-government. The district commissioner does not come here to give orders, but to advise in the conduct of local affairs, which are in the hands of the chiefs and headmen. Indirect rule, through the chiefs, was instituted here as long ago as 1932, since when more and more responsibility has been given to the local authorities.
Mamprose Village, a 1944 film produced by the British Ministry of Information, explains a little about how the indirect rule functioned in parts of West Africa.
By collecting its own taxes, to be spent in the district for the good of all, the local authority has learnt useful lessons in the past few years on the practical side of its own affairs.
Wole Soyinka said in an interview with Al Jazeera in 2010, the reason is that Africa has had different types of colonialism. There was the settler colonialism, the assimilation colonialism, and indirect rule. Indirect rule is what we more or less had here. With indirect rule, people kept closer with their roots, their history, and their self-knowledge.
And so people felt that now that those decisions were going to be taken by us, by our representatives, there had to be both a qualitative change and a quantum leap in the transformation of society.
At this point, the colonization era, Nigeria and Nigerians had yet to experience what it is to vote individually for their leaders. The colonial times was just an extension of the traditional rule, a seamless transition into indirect rule. According to the American Historical Association, the British approach was called indirect rule and was applied to all of Nigeria, including southeastern Nigeria.
Democracy, demonstration of grace.
Lagos, capital of Nigeria, prepares to give the welcome of its life to Queen Elizabeth II, or in its own language, to Opeyemi, the King Lady. 1 million Nigerians are here to greet her, among them the Federal Minister of Labour and Welfare, Chief Festus Okoti-Igbo. 17 hours from the mists of London Airport, the Queen's Argonaut comes to rest in the sunshine of Ikeja, the airport of Lagos. The Guard of Honour is mounted by the Nigeria Regiment, many of whom, like the Queen's husband, wear the Burma Star. Governor-General Sir James Robertson and Lady Robertson welcome the royal couple as they leave the Argonaut. In a temperature around the 100 mark, the Queen still looks cool as the royal car makes its 13-mile journey to the capital at a steady 8 miles an hour. Every foot of the way, the road is packed with Nigerians. The welcome is as tremendous as any Her Majesty has ever been given. And it's a proud welcome, for this is no longer a people in colonial subjection, but a free nation with its feet already firmly on the road to self-government.
Do you stand for paradise? Which we shall chant on October 1, 1960.
It was indeed an historical time for Nigeria. The first ever election in the newly formed Nigeria was finally here. Campaigns grew intense between the three major parties: the Northern People's Congress, the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, and the Action Group.
One significant thing about the symbol of the Action Group is that it symbolizes what you want and what I want, that is money.
After many campaigns, endless speeches, and a very long wait, an independent Nigeria now had a chance to vote for their leader. The victor of the election was Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the first Prime Minister of an independent Nigeria in 1960.
Nigeria's first federal Prime Minister was appointed, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa.
Demonstration of grace.
Nigeria had enjoyed a brief spell of independence, but tribal differences and political leaders at loggerhead was always bound to create a combustion in the political system and the Nigerian society. Party leaders Chief Obafemi Awolowo of AG, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe of the NCNC, and the Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello of the MPC, tried all in their power to unify a nation of many different tribes and languages, but only managed to pull each other further apart.
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee.
On Saturday, 15 January 1966, a group of majors and captains carried out a bloody coup against the then civilian government. A number of senior civilian and military officials, including Alhaji Tafawa Balewa, Nigeria's first Prime Minister, lost their lives as a result of the putsch. After the assassination of the MPC leaders, Sir Ahmadu Bello and Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa by Major Kaduna Nziogu and a group of officers, Nigeria was suddenly thrown into chaos.
Well, no, we didn't see him until the time we actually shot him. He ran away from his house when we fired the first few shots of anti-tank gun. into the building. The whole roof was blown up and the place was set alight. Then we went to the rear of the house and started searching from room to room until we found him amongst the women and children, hiding himself. So we sort of took away the women and children and took him.
A few years ago, before the coup d'etat, Nigerians were fighting for their independence from the colonial masters, but now they fight for democracy from the beginning of a new military regime.
The federal military government in Nigeria has taken over the administration of the country. The functions of the federal military government will be exercised by the Supreme Military Council, and details of which will be announced later.
Major General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi declared himself the first military head of state in Nigeria.
Today I stand before you proud to be a servant of such a heroic people. Today I stand before you.
After another military coup d'etat, the killing of General Aguiyi Ironsi, and the dire state of affairs in the country, General Chukwuma Ojukwu declared himself the leader of Biafra, a new independent nation, formerly known as the Nigerian Eastern Region.
The Biafran Air Force, small as it is, has stopped the entire oil flow of Nigeria from the mainland west.
The new military head of state of Nigeria, General Yakubu Gowon, planned to reclaim the region back, forcing Nigeria's first civil war that will go on to cause millions of deaths. The civil war was in full swing.
Demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration.
To deny a people the right to self-determination for well on 100 years is to subject them to slavery.
Many activists believed to be the voice of the people. Revered Nigerians such as Ken Saro-Wiwa, who was executed, and Dele Giwa, who was assassinated. The price of vote was becoming very high, from General Sani Abacha's lavish spending, similar to that of retired General Olabanji in my script, On the Road to 2015, to similarities in the governments such as that of General Idi Amin, as painted by the last king of Scotland.
Hey, Nicholas, where have you been?
The value of a vote in Nigeria was becoming very, very high. From Major General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi to General Sani Abacha, the freedom to be able to vote for one's leader was taken away from the citizens of Nigeria until 1999, when Olusegun Obasanjo, a former military Nigeria head of state, was elected as a civilian president. Were Nigerians under a true civilian rule? Have Nigerians truly experienced democracy?
Democracy. Crazy demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration.
So what can you do to take those issues seriously? Obviously, the issue of good governance, of free elections, free of corruption.
After the 1999 elections, Nigeria have once again enjoyed the ability to vote for their leaders. Now that Nigeria has enjoyed, in quote, free and fair elections for the last 16 years, the question being asked by Nigerians, the public, and the whole world is, are the elections free and fair?
As the Independent National Electoral Commission prepares for the 2015 general elections, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Germany, Dr. Frank-Walter Steinmeier, has pledged the support of the European Union towards the conduct of free, fair and credible elections in Nigeria.
Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan is pledging to organize free and fair elections when the country holds its presidential vote next year.
With the 2015 general elections drawing closer, the Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association has cast a spotlight on the conduct of the polls, identifying some challenges that must be overcome to ensure the elections are free and fair.
A stable Nigerian nation can only be possible when there is fairness, can only be possible when there is equity, can only be possible when there is justice, can only be possible when the right to choose is respected, freely choose. is respected and guaranteed.
Democracy, crazy demonstration of grace, crazy demonstration. If good do teacher teach something and the student make mistake, teacher must talk the so but do